Have you ever heard stories about a strange glowing light? A faint aura that surrounds the human body? For centuries, people have talked about this mysterious energy. They have seen it in paintings of saints and heard about it in ancient myths. These reports often describe a soft, colorful light that seems to radiate from living things. It's an idea that has fascinated artists, healers, and spiritual leaders for thousands of years. But is it real? Are we all walking around with a secret, invisible halo? This question has often been dismissed as pure fantasy, a product of overactive imaginations or wishful thinking. The internet is filled with these stories. You might see a viral video or a strange photograph. It claims to show this human aura. Often these images are blurry or easily faked. This makes it hard for most people to take them seriously. Scientists in particular have been very skeptical. They demand clear, repeatable evidence. Without proof, the idea of a human glow remains in the world of make-believe. But what if a serious scientist with a serious laboratory decided to investigate? What if they used incredibly sensitive tools to look for this light, turning a myth into a measurable phenomenon? This is where our story truly begins. It moves from the realm of old legends into the world of modern science. It is a journey that asks a profound question about what it means to be alive. Are we just collections of cells, bone, and tissue? Or is there something more? Is there a form of energy, a type of light, that is unique to living beings? The search for answers requires us to be open-minded but also critical. We must look at the evidence carefully. We must be willing to challenge what we think we know about ourselves and the universe around us. Imagine for a moment that this light is real. What would it mean? Would it be a simple byproduct of our body's chemical reactions? Or could it be a window into something deeper, something connected to our consciousness or our life force? These are not easy questions. They touch on the biggest mysteries of existence. The quest to understand this human glow is more than just a scientific experiment. It is an exploration of our own nature. It pushes the boundaries of what science can measure and what we can dare to imagine about our place in the cosmos. In Japan, at the Tohoku Institute of Technology, a scientist named Masaki Kobayashi heard these whispers. He was aware of the ancient beliefs and the modern claims, but unlike many of his peers, he did not dismiss them outright. He was a man of science, trained to observe and measure the physical world. He knew that the human body was a complex system. It is a biological machine that produces heat, electricity, and a host of chemical reactions. So, he asked a simple yet revolutionary question: does the human body also produce light? A light so faint that our own eyes are not sensitive enough to see it. Kobayashi's curiosity was not born from a desire to prove ancient myths. It came from a solid scientific foundation. He knew that all living things are powered by chemical energy. Our bodies are constantly breaking down food to create fuel for our cells. This process, known as metabolism, releases energy. Most of that energy becomes heat, which is why our bodies are warm. But Kobayashi wondered if a tiny fraction of that energy could be released as light. He wasn't looking for a magical aura. He was looking for photons, the fundamental particles of light, emitted by the human body. His investigation was driven by a need for data. He wanted to move the conversation from speculation to scientific fact. To do this, he needed a special kind of camera. He needed a device that could detect single photons of light in near total darkness. Such technology is incredibly sensitive. It is far more powerful than any camera you might have on your phone. It was the perfect tool to hunt for a glow that was said to be 1,000 times weaker than what the naked eye can perceive. He was setting the stage for an experiment that could change our understanding of human biology. So, Masaki Kobayashi set out to build an experiment. He wanted to find out if this human light was real. He gathered his team and prepared his laboratory. His goal was to create an environment completely free of any outside light. Only then could he be sure that any photons his camera detected were coming directly from a human subject. He was not searching for a soul or a spirit. He was a physicist, searching for light, but in doing so, he stepped into a territory where science and mystery meet, a place where the measurements of a machine could touch upon the deepest questions of life itself.
Perfect.
The experiment began in 2009. Masaki Kobayashi and his team recruited a group of healthy male volunteers. The subjects were asked to enter a special, light-tight chamber. It was a room designed to be one of the darkest places on Earth. This was crucial. Any stray light from the outside world would ruin the experiment. The volunteers had to sit in this complete darkness for hours, allowing the sensitive equipment to do its work. The key piece of technology was a cryogenically cooled, charge-coupled device, or CCD camera. This camera, cooled to extreme temperatures, could detect even a single photon hitting its sensor. For 3 days, the volunteers were monitored around the clock. They sat shirtless in front of the camera, which took pictures every 20 minutes. The results were astonishing. The camera did in fact detect light. It captured faint images of the volunteers glowing in the dark. The light was not uniform, it was brightest on their cheeks, forehead and neck. It was a real, measurable phenomenon. The human body does emit light. This was not a spiritual aura captured by a mystic. It was biophotons captured by a highly advanced scientific instrument. The whispers were true, at least in a physical sense. The experiment revealed more than just the existence of this light. It showed that the glow had a rhythm. It changed throughout the day. The light was at its faintest in the morning, around 10 a.m. It gradually became brighter as the day went on, reaching its peak in the late afternoon, around 4 p.m. This daily cycle was fascinating. It suggested that the light was connected to our internal body clock, the circadian rhythm that governs our sleep, hunger, and energy levels. The glow was directly linked to our metabolism, the engine that powers our bodies every second of every day. So, what Kobayashi found was not a constant mystical halo. He found a dynamic flickering light, a light that ebbs and flows with the tides of our own biology. The intensity of the light was directly correlated with the metabolic rate of the volunteers. When their bodies were working harder and burning more energy, they glowed more brightly. When their metabolism slowed down, the light dimmed. He had successfully measured the human glow, but in doing so, he opened up a whole new set of questions. What was causing this light, and what, if anything, did it truly mean? To understand what Kobayashi saw, we need to look at the science of energy in living things. The first, most obvious source of energy from our bodies is heat. We are warm-blooded creatures. Our bodies maintain a constant temperature of around 37 degrees Celsius, or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. This heat is a form of energy, specifically infrared radiation. We can easily see this with thermal cameras, which create images based on heat. But heat is not visible light. The photons Kobayashi detected were in the visible spectrum, the same kind of light our eyes can see, just much, much fainter. So it wasn't just heat. This brings us to another fascinating concept, bioluminescence. We see this in nature all the time. Fireflies use it to attract mates. Deep-sea fish use it to lure prey in the dark ocean depths. Bioluminescence is light produced by a chemical reaction within a living organism. It is often called cold light because it generates very little heat. Scientists believe that the human glow Kobayashi measured is a form of ultra-weak bioluminescence. It is not as dramatic as a firefly's flash, but it follows the same basic principle. Our bodies are alive with constant chemical reactions. Every time a cell in your body breaks down a molecule to release energy, there is a chance that a tiny bit of that energy will escape in the form of a photon. These chemical reactions produce highly reactive molecules called free radicals. When these free radicals interact with fats and proteins in our cells, they can create excited molecules. As these excited molecules return to their normal state, they release a tiny burst of light. This happens billions of times a second all over your body, creating a very faint but constant glow. So, the light is not coming from a single source. It is the combined glimmer of all the cells in your body going about their daily work. Think of it like a massive city seen from space at night. You don't see the light from a single light bulb. You see the combined glow of millions of lights from homes, streets, and buildings. In the same way, the human glow is the collective light of trillions of cells, all performing their metabolic functions. This provides a clear biological explanation for what Kobayashi observed. It is a natural byproduct of being alive. Alright folks, here we are in section 5, light, life, and the rhythms of our body. You know, the discovery that this human light follows a daily cycle is perhaps the most significant part of Kobayashi's findings. It's fascinating really how this rhythm connects the faint glow directly to the master clock inside our brains. This internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, controls nearly every aspect of our physiology. It tells us when to feel sleepy and when to feel awake. It regulates our body temperature, our hormone levels, and crucially our metabolic rate. Now the fact that the human glow peaks in the late afternoon, when our metabolism is most active, is powerful evidence for its biological origin. This connection to metabolism helps explain why the light is brightest on the face. The face, with its higher concentration of blood vessels close to the surface, is a site of significant metabolic activity. The muscles we use for expression and the high cell turnover in our skin could contribute to this brighter glow. The light is essentially a visual map of our body's energy expenditure. In theory, a more metabolically active person might glow slightly brighter than someone who is less active. This turns the abstract idea of an aura into a measurable indicator of our physiological state. But hey, this concept isn't limited to humans. Scientists have found that nearly all living organisms, from bacteria and plants to insects and animals, emit these biophotons. It seems to be a universal property of life. This light is believed to play a role in communication between cells, helping to regulate growth and coordinate activities within an organism. If this is true, then the light is not just a waste product. It could be an integral part of the biological network that keeps us functioning. It could be a form of internal signaling, a language of light spoken by our cells. Therefore, the human glow that Kobayashi measured is deeply tied to the very processes that define life. It's not a static field of energy, but a dynamic shimmer that reflects our inner world. It brightens and dims with the rhythm of our day, mirroring the rise and fall of our body's energy. This scientific perspective transforms the idea of a life force from a mystical concept into something tangible. The light is a direct manifestation of the metabolic fire that burns within us all. It's the faint, visible echo of the chemistry that makes us alive. Quite amazing, isn't it? Section 6. Ancient Beliefs Meets Modern Science. The Soul's Glow. For thousands of years, long before the invention of sensitive CCD cameras, cultures around the world held beliefs about a vital energy or life force. In Chinese tradition, this is called qi or chi. In Indian philosophy, it is prana. In ancient Egypt, it was the ka. These concepts all describe a form of non-physical energy that animates the body. Many spiritual traditions also depicted this energy as a visible light, an aura or halo that surrounded holy or enlightened individuals. These beliefs were based on intuition, spiritual experience, and philosophical reasoning, not on scientific measurement. When we look at Kobayashi's results, it's tempting to draw a line directly from these ancient ideas to his modern discovery. Could the chi or prana that people have talked about for centuries be the very same biophotons that he measured in his lab? On the surface, the connection seems compelling. Both describe a form of energy or light that is fundamental to living beings. Both are invisible to the naked eye under normal circumstances. The idea that science has finally proven the existence of the aura is an exciting one for many people who hold these beliefs. However, we must be very careful when we compare these two worlds. Ancient concepts like the soul or chi are rich with meaning that goes far beyond simple biology. They are tied to ideas about consciousness, identity, morality, and the afterlife. They are philosophical and spiritual concepts. The biophotons measured by science, on the other hand, are explained as a physical phenomenon. They are the result of chemical reactions and metabolic processes. Science describes how the light is produced, but it does not and cannot say anything about a non-physical soul. This is the great divide between the two perspectives. Science can measure the light, but it cannot measure its meaning. It can tell us that the glow is linked to metabolism, but it cannot tell us if it is also linked to our consciousness or spirit. So, when we ask if Kobayashi was measuring the soul, the answer depends on your point of view. For a scientist, he was measuring a biological byproduct. For someone with a spiritual worldview, he may have been measuring the physical manifestation of a deeper, non-physical reality. Science provides the data, but we provide the interpretation. Section 7. The Skeptic's Viewpoint. A simple biological process. From a strictly scientific and skeptical perspective, the human glow is an interesting but ultimately unsurprising discovery. The laws of chemistry and physics predict that metabolic reactions should produce some photons. It is a known process. The fact that we can now measure these photons with modern technology is a testament to our engineering skills, not evidence of a supernatural phenomenon. For a skeptic, calling this light an aura or linking it to a life force is a mistake. It adds a layer of mystical meaning to what is a perfectly normal and explainable biological process. Skeptics would argue that the entire phenomenon can be explained without needing to invent new concepts like a soul or spirit. Our bodies are complex chemical factories. We take in fuel, food and air, oxygen, and through a series of reactions, we produce energy to live. Just like a car engine produces exhaust fumes as a byproduct, Our cells produce free radicals and biophotons as byproducts. They are simply the chemical exhaust of being alive. There is no need to assume these photons carry any special information about our consciousness or identity. Furthermore, a skeptic would point out that the light's characteristics all point to a biological origin. The fact that it follows a circadian rhythm is the strongest piece of evidence. If the light were a manifestation of a constant, unchanging soul, why would it get brighter in the afternoon and dimmer in the morning? Its behavior is perfectly aligned with our known metabolic cycles. This suggests it is a product of the body, not a separate entity inhabiting the body. The glow changes with our biology because it is part of our biology. The skeptical conclusion is clear and direct. Kobayashi did not measure the soul. He measured the predictable light emissions from cellular metabolism. While the discovery is scientifically valuable and could lead to new medical diagnostic tools, perhaps by detecting abnormal metabolic activity through light, it does not provide any evidence for the existence of a non-physical world. To the skeptic, the human glow is a beautiful and fascinating example of the complexity of the human body, but it is nothing more than that. It is chemistry, not magic. Section 8. The open question, is there something more to see? While the skeptical view provides a complete biological explanation, it may not satisfy everyone. The discovery of a human glow, no matter its origin, opens a door to deeper questions. It forces us to think about the nature of life and consciousness in new ways. Even if the light is just a metabolic byproduct, the fact that we are beings of light, however faint, is a poetic and powerful idea. Could this light, even if it is biological, still be connected to things we don't yet understand? This is the open question that remains on the table. Some researchers in fields like biophotonics believe this light could be more than just waste. They propose that it might function as a communication system between cells, coordinating their activities across the entire body. If cells can communicate using light, could this network be related to our overall state of being? Could our feelings or thoughts, which are also based on chemical and electrical signals in the brain, influence this light field in subtle ways? We know that stress affects our metabolism, so it's logical to assume that stress would also affect our biophoton emissions. This line of thinking pushes the boundaries of current science. It asks whether our consciousness might have a subtle, measurable effect on the physical world of our bodies. Could a state of deep meditation, for example, produce a different light signature than a state of anger or fear? These are testable hypotheses. Future experiments could try to measure the biophoton emissions of people in different emotional or mental states. If a connection is found, it would not prove the existence of a soul, but it would build a fascinating bridge between our mind and our body's light. Ultimately, the debate comes down to whether we see the body as just a machine or as something more. The purely mechanical view says the light is an effect, not a cause. The more open-minded view wonders if the light could be part of a larger, more integrated system that includes our consciousness. Science, at its best, is a process of exploration. Kobayashi's experiment did not end the conversation. It started a new chapter. It gave us a new tool to explore the mystery of ourselves, leaving us to wonder what else we might find if we keep looking. Section 9. The Final Spark. What does this light say about us? So we are left standing between two worlds. On one side we have the clear rational explanation of science. The human glow is a symphony of biophotons, emitted by the trillions of chemical reactions that power our bodies. It is a testament to the beautiful complexity of biology. On the other side we have the enduring ancient mystery of the life force, the soul, and the human spirit. The discovery that we physically glow in the dark seems to touch upon this mystery, even if it cannot solve it. It gives a physical form to the idea that there is an inner fire within us. This brings us to a final, profound question. If this light is a direct signature of our metabolic processes, the very processes that define life, what happens when we die? When the metabolic fire goes out, the light must go out too. The idea of something leaving the body at the moment of death is a cornerstone of many beliefs about the soul. In a purely physical sense, this is true. The heat leaves, the electricity stops, and now we know the light also fades into darkness. The glow that was a constant companion throughout our lives simply ceases to be. This thought forces us to confront our own identity. Are we the light, or are we the body that produces the light? Are we the software, or are we the hardware? If our consciousness is tied to the biological processes that create this glow, then what happens when those processes end? The scientific view suggests that everything, our thoughts, our memories, our identity, is a product of the living, functioning brain and body. When the body stops, we stop. The light going out is simply the final sign that the machine has been turned off. But the question lingers, casting a long shadow. That faint glow, that visible echo of life, makes us pause. It reminds us that even in our most solid physical forms, we are beings of energy. We are a temporary, intricate pattern of matter and light. Whether you see that light as a simple biological function or as a window to something deeper, its existence is a humbling and awe-inspiring fact. It reminds us that the universe is full of wonders, and one of the greatest wonders of all is the simple, profound fact of being alive, burning brightly against the dark.